But they went out and spoke to people in the street, and this happened.
Trump talks about this a lot. He says, you know, Kamala Harris became black when it was convenient.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about, do you agree with him on that? Do you feel like she's wearing her blackness?
Absolutely. She's sworn into when she sworn to the Senate, it was as the first Indian American.
Thank you.
Which is, it's fine. We don't care.
We all know she's not black. Let's understand that. We are all clear of that. But my point of view, and like I told you earlier, she's already been there. She's in office right now.
I mean, David, that's pretty devastating when you hear that.
Oh, that sounds good. We're off to a good start here on Piers Morgan Uncensored. As you can see, he's got quite a panel lined up here. And I think he's going to be talking next to David Pakman. So let's see. This should be very interesting because Pakman is, of course, pretty anti-Trump as far as I know. And not a very honest debater. I think he's kind of slimy, personally, in what I've seen. But that little clip we saw there looked like... yeah, they were talking to some black Americans and asking about the whole Kamala Harris thing. And what do you know? They agreed with what Trump said. You know, Trump was like, is she black? I didn't even realize. I thought she was Indian. And that lady pointed out quite rightly that when she was sworn in, it was as the first Indian American congresswoman or senator or whatever it was. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny, so this should lead to an interesting conversation. Let's see what happens.
For Kamala Harris, doesn't it? They all think she's a bit of a phony who's basically using them as a community.
Those two people did say that, but if you look at any public opinion survey, this is not ranking anywhere. And there still seems to be confusion about the concept of being biracial. But no, I don't think that's really devastating at all. And in fact, I think that, I don't know what interviews Brandon's been watching, but she just did an interview yesterday with NBC where she was almost goaded by the interviewer. Why aren't you talking about being a woman and being black? And she said, people can tell what my identity is. I'm running on policy, and then people can judge the identity however they want. She's stepped away from identity politics, which I think is fantastic, by the way.
David, let me ask you this.
Politics as a cudgel.
David, let me ask you this. One of the things she stands for, along with Joe Biden, is she has done nothing while they've been in office to stem this, in my view, horrendously unfair situation of trans athletes competing in women's sport. And an astonishing survey has just come out today by the United Nations that reveals that female athletes have lost 900 medals to transgender rivals competing against them in women's sporting categories.
Whoa, I was not aware of that. Okay, I'm going to look that up after I record this. That is, yeah, that's a pretty interesting study right there that Piers Morgan just quoted. Yeah, obviously, female to male transgenders, do not get me started on the whole transgender ideology thing. Otherwise, this video will never end. Let's just say, in general, I am completely against it. I think it goes from simply bad, you know, okay, transgenderism. There's always been people, you know, we used to call them, you know, back when I was young, you know, I grew up in the 70s. I was born in 65, so I was a kid in the 70s, teenager, a college student in the 80s. Yeah, I mean, there were drag clubs in Portland, Oregon, where I grew up. There's a famous one. There were cross-dressers. That's what we called them, cross-dressers or transvestites, which just means cross-dresser. But this whole trans as an identity, okay, you know, again, obviously, if you're a man cross-dressing as a woman and sort of living that way, you identify as a woman. But it took a whole different and more sinister turn much more recently, probably I noticed it starting about 2015, maybe, something like that. This trans athletes and stuff in high schools in America. But this thing of, you know, if you say you're a woman, then you are a woman. No, sorry, hard pass on that. You know, if you say that, you know, a child can be trans and therefore should be given gender affirming care, big hard pass on that. You have now swerved from weird and degenerate into evil, and It will not happen. Well, I'm certainly won't happen to any children over whom I have control. Yes, trans ideology is being promoted in schools and just in public in general. So no, you have to fight it. And if there is room for some nuance when we're talking about adults, like I was saying, when I was younger, there were such things as transvestites. People would probably generally leave them alone as long as they didn't try to make it into public policy or to something which should be taught and encouraged to children in school. So let's see what David Pakman has to say about these trans athletes.
This is a UN report. That's 600 female athletes in more than 400 competitions have lost nearly 900 medals in 29 different sports. When the average American sees that both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris now support this unfairness, and that's what it is. It's just unfair. It's nothing to do with being transphobic or anything else. It's just unfair. And when it's supported by a report like that from the UN, that's one of her problems too, is that people think they're supporting the indefensible. They lack basic common sense. What do you say to that?
I'm struggling to think that you're taking this any more seriously than as something that might generate clicks on YouTube, Piers.
Wow, you don't think that's serious?
Hold on, Piers, I can't even get a sentence out.
What, you don't think it's serious?
Hold on a second. The vast majority of those instances in the UN report are outside the United States and have nothing to do with the president or vice president of the United States at its face. And secondly, I would challenge you to tell me the quotes that Biden or Harris have put forward wherein they have weighed in on how sports leagues should be handling these decisions. But 92% of that study is not even in the US. So I don't even know why you're bringing this up other than
what's
to
that got to do with the
on
principle
YouTube.
of the principle?
Yeah, that was typical Pac-Man sort of answer. 92% of these, women who lost out on medals in the Olympics weren't even in the States. Yeah, and Piers rightly says that's nothing to do with the principle. Why don't you answer on principle, you idiot?
I'm sorry?
What's that got to do with the principle?
Well, the principle is you're saying Kamala Harris and Biden have come out in support of this.
They do. They support policies which actively
protect.
They support policies that protect transgender athletes performing in women's sport. And I think that is madness. You're saying, well, because most of these things in this UN report were outside of America, it doesn't matter. It does matter.
What I'm saying, it's a completely contrived issue that almost no one cares about in every single opinion poll.
Wow. You see, I think that's incredibly deluded. People do care about it. They care about the integrity of women's sport.
It just doesn't show up in any opinion poll as a primary issue. Not top 10, not top 20.
Out of interest, do you think...
They care about it, but it doesn't show up in a single poll.
What's your view? Do you think it's fair?
I think that it depends on the sport, and I think we need to talk about this for probably 90 minutes to really have a productive conversation.
Really? So when you saw the Paris Olympics and you saw 2 gold medal winners in women's boxing who actually were born with biological male chromosomes, you think that's right?
That is not the truth as far as I understand it.
Really?
I don't know who you're talking about. If you can name them, then maybe we can get into more detail.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. It was well publicized.
Well, tell me. Tell me who you're talking about.
I can't remember their exact names. There were 2 gold medal winners. Well, I can find them now if it helps you. I don't know why the names matter.
The one who was the source of a lot of viral articles was born a woman, always lived as a woman, and always competed as a woman. I'm sorry?
What was her name?
Imani something.
All right, so you don't know either. So don't be quite so patronizing if you don't know either. But the truth is...
Well, you're bringing it up, Piers. See, here's the thing. Hold on a second, Piers. Hold on a second. You do this all the time, Piers. You bring something up. And then you evaluate your guest's opinion as to how much it matters. You brought it up. If it doesn't actually matter, don't bring it up.
No, just to be clear, you were haranguing me for not remembering the name. I said the name's irrelevant. What's relevant is whether the gold medal winners have biological male chromosomes when they're getting into a boxing ring
they do not.
and punching women in the face so hard that one of the women competitors, a female, quit after 45 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that, of course. That was a boxer from Algeria. Now, I didn't watch a single second of the Olympics. I didn't even watch the opening ceremony, thank goodness. And I didn't watch any of the sports at all. I haven't watched the Olympics for many years, although I do like, the one thing I used to like I used to like watching gymnastics. There's something so impressive about gymnastics. And I used to watch, when I was a kid, I used to watch the Winter Olympics, downhill skiing. But anyway, I digress. So this Algerian boxer, who I don't know, I mean, I heard various things, so I don't know what the official verdict is. Is she a woman? Is she a man? Was she, or an intersex? You know, one of these rare, extremely rare cases where there is actual confusion about the gender because of some physical deformity or a physical, a failure of the body to form physically in the womb or after. I think she might have been one of these edge cases. That I don't know. But yeah, she did. Her opponent did stop fighting after, right in the first round there. So anyway, let's see.
That instance, there is nothing to the story that the boxer that prevailed was ever a man.
Wow.
Just nothing.
And yet that
there's no evidence of it. It was a viral right-wing story based on nothing.
Hang on, you know that boxer was banned from the World Championships precisely because there is evidence. You know that, right?
Yes. Do you know the details of that, Piers? Do you know? Tell the full story. Go ahead, tell the full story.
That boxer was banned, along with the other one, from the World Championships because it has been reported that they tested positive for male chromosomes, right? If you know better, tell me.
That's not the full. I do know better, and I will tell you. That was done by a Russian lab who had an interest in disqualifying her because it jeopardized the undefeated record of a Russian boxer. It's just, that's all they have, and it's totally debunked. Piers, I thought you were better than this.
It's not debunked, and you'll regret saying that because.
Yeah, has that been debunked? I have heard what Pakman just said about how a lot of people are just taking, are not lending any credence to the report by that Russian lab. So it may be true, it may be false. I really have no idea at all. But why doesn't the Olympics then carry out their own tests? Or did they? Maybe let me know in the comments, because as I said, I did not follow the Olympics at all. So I don't know what the current state of play is on that controversy. Anyway, if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.